Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Uzzaman Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Sunday, the 5th of Rabi'ul Awwal, 1444, corresponding with the English date, 2nd of October 2022. This Majlis took place after the Maghrib Salat at Abrar Nagar, Makrani Mahalla, Akkalkuwa, Maharashtra, India. Hazrat Wala starts off this majlis by quoting the ayat of the Quran Majid, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu attaqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. Thereafter Hazrat Wala says that all of you people here deserve to be congratulated. You have come here to listen to the talks of Allah and His Rasul. You underwent some type of difficulty or the other. However, if it is done, all of this here for Allah, for the sake of Allah, and to listen to the talks of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then there can be no gathering greater than this. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. Tanzilur rahma inda dhikri salihin. The rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes down when we speak and make mention of the pious. Somebody then even asked, then okay, if that's the case with the pious, then if we speak about Allah and His Rasul, then there's no limit in what type of mercy will descend on such gatherings. There was a Buzruk, and he mentioned in his majlis that Muhammadun basharun la kal bashari bal huwa yaqutun bain al hajari, that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a human, but not just an ordinary human, la kal bashari, not just like any other human, bal huwa yaqutun bain al hajari, rather he's a pearl, he's a gem, he's this very precious stone amongst all pebbles. Allahu Akbar. So if there is so much of difference even amongst stones, and then even amongst valuable stones, and even amongst specific stones exact the same, there's so much of differences between two types of stones, then in Bashar, why can there not be a difference? Of course, you would have the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wasalam, and then you would have the Awliya, you would have that category and bracket that we have been commanded to sit in their company. So, also amongst humans, there is a farq, and what's so astonishing about that? Rather, regarding evil and bad company, do not even look at such people by means of which will affect your heart negatively, and doubts and confusion can come within a person. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and hidayat of making hifazat of our deen. Umar radiyallahu ta'ala an was reading the Tawrat, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam became red in the face. Rather, he prevented him from doing that. So today the deen is in front of us. Urdu is leaving us, due to which no person is reading anymore. There's no type of ta'aleem. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to speak about an incident of a person who had read nevertheless, this person, he comes to his friend's house. It is the time of iftari. The friend says to him, come, sit, let's have iftari. He starts crying, and he says, okay, but listen, for now, at least eat with me. They eat together, and then he asks him, he says, listen, I read the book of certain person, Baddin, atheist, or whatever he was, due to which doubts have crept into me. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself even gives an example in the hadith about good company. And he gives the example of that of itar, a person who is selling itar, that you go to him and you purchase the itar from him. And listen, even if you do not purchase the itar from him, even if he doesn't give you something to put on you, most definitely you will benefit from the beautiful fragrance that is there. You know, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given wahi, but also Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was given wahi of amthal, of beautiful examples that he quoted to the ummah, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself gives in the Quran Majid. People started mocking when Allah ta'ala quoted the example of a mosquito in the Quran Majid. So that's the example and that's the parable that Allah ta'ala wants to quote and compare in the Quran, this with that. So what do they expect? Do they want at that occasion Allah ta'ala to give them the example of an elephant? So read the Quran, understand the Quran, look after your hearts, your commodity, your item, only your eyes can look after it. You know, there was an example, we even seen this and understood it, that the person had his bag with him, you people call it attache, and after a little while, hardly doing this and that bag was gone and it was stolen. Allahu Akbar. So our children also, we need to put them onto the path and teach them. The best amongst you, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَ, is the one who learns the Quran and teaches the Quran. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Akrimu hamalat al-Quran, فَإِنَّهُ مَنْ أَكْرَمَهُ أَكْرَمَنِي." That honor the bearer and the hafiz of the Quran, for whosoever honors him has honored me. Nevertheless, that incident that I told you, I've told you, but let me just quote to the end so you can even understand, because there's a great importance for that part as well. So this friend of his says to him that, listen, tomorrow first thing in the morning, go and sit with Hazrat Maulana Fazl Rahman Ganj Alahbadi. Nevertheless, he does this, and on that end there, look at this, kashf, he was informed, he was inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Maulana Fazl Rahman, when he looks at this person coming to him, he sees the signs of inkar and rejection within him and his halat. This was the spiritual capacity that these great pious elders possessed. Nevertheless, when he sees him, he's a stoop or veranda that was there, the half wall, he jumps over it, he runs towards the person, he takes his palm and he strikes it on his chest a few times, and he says to him that, tell me, what doubt do you have? Now what doubt do you have? And this person himself then narrates that at that time it felt like my Iman and Islam, everything came back into my heart with the Shaykh striking his hand on my chest. So ittaqu firasat al-mu'min fa innahu yanzuru bi nurillah. That fear, the insight, the foresight of a believer, for he looks with the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I went to reunion and I met this Naqshbandi Sheikh there, and he said to me that it's very famous in the Indo Park of this great Naqshbandi Sheikh, referring to Hazrat Maulana Fazl Rahman Ganj Alahbadi. Tell me about him. So nevertheless, I said to him, he had such a hal and spiritual state that when he used to sit, when he used to go into sajda, such a hal used to overwhelm him, as he would say that it is like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made me his beloved, Allah has kissed me. Allahu Akbar. So today, this is also here, or is it finished? Has it stopped with Hazrat Maulana Fazl Rahman? No, today as well. The hadith teaches us that when a person makes sajda, it is as if he's making sajda at the feet or the legs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Haji Imdadullah says that Nagma-e sarmadi suna ke hame mast wa bekhud bana diya kisne. That I've been made to hear the Quran Majid. I wonder who has made me just to go out of control, to become completely intoxicated, meaning with the Quran Majid, in that type of a hal. So deen, the hifazat of this deen, we need to do it ourselves. We need to make intizam for it. And today, we see the conditions. And what do our youth and our children want? They want nothing other than freedom. For a youth and for a young person, they want freedom. That's what they want. So اعملوا بطاعة الله واتقوا معاصي الله ومروا أولادكم بامتثال الأوامر واجتناب النواهي ذلك وقاية لكم ولكم من النار. That carry out, do, practice, work in the obedience of Allah, stay away from the disobedience of Allah, and command your children to do the same, for it will be a shield for them and for you against the fire of Jahannam. Hazrat Maulana Abdul Shakur Saheb, back in the day in Allahabad, he started these types of jalsas. And a great amount of revolution came amongst the masses. When Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab came, he even sent me with a message, and he said, go and tell them, the muntazimeen of these jalsas, that they have done the fundamental work was done by them. The foundation was laid by them. And now the path has been cleared, the road has been opened, the land is fertile. I just need to plant the seed. They have done the original work. You know, my son Saeed, he lives in the Arab. He says to me, Abba, what you people have here in Hindustan, in India, is tremendous. This type of jalsas and the connection and the rabt between the ulama and the masses is fundamental. In the Arab, we don't even have that, due to which they don't even understand the basics. So Allah Ta'ala even increased this year this rabt and this connection and these jalsas which you people set up. Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Sahab used to say that you go to so many jalsas, when you go and sit there, make this firm intention in your heart that one thing I'm going to take from this bayan and I'm going to bring it into my life. I'm going to make amal on it. And if you have this type of an outlook, otherwise jalsas will come and go, so much will be said and heard, but nothing will be implemented. Take one thing there, say I'm going to practice on one thing when I come out from this jalsa, and if you do that, such a type of a progress will take place. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab told Hazrat Maulana Ali Mia when he was going for one of these jalsas, he told him that, Maulana, I want you to speak on Jannat and Jahannam. Speak on that. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha says that in the start, so many ayat were revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regarding Jannah and Jahannam. So many ayat that the hearts were gripped with fear out of listening to the ayat of Jahannam, and the hearts were overwhelmed with enthusiasm and shock and zeal to carry out deeds out of listening to the ayats of Jannah. They froze and they could not do any deeds regarding Jahannam. This was the effect that it had. Hazrat Maulana Abdul Majid Alahbadi told Hazrat Tanvi on one occasion that, Hazrat, that Allah has mentioned so much about Jannat and Jahannam, but the Maulvis don't speak about that. So Hazrat Tanvi even acknowledged that, and he said, Baat to sahi hai. Most definitely what you're saying is correct. Hazrat Sheikh Abdul Haq was in the Haramain, Makkah and Medina, and what happened? He was told to leave, and he said, but I'm here. And he was told again, you should leave because there's no need for you here. You need to do work in the Indo-Pak subcontinent. He leaves, and from amongst the first things that he does when he comes to the Indo-Pak, he writes a letter to the Wazir-e-Azam of the whole Indo-Pak. At that time it was Sheikh Farid, and what advice does he give to him? That he says that keep in mind always ikhlas. The second thing that he goes on to say to him, that is, let there be tawafuk, and it should be coinciding, that the external and the internal. It can't be like this, that the external is white, look at this beautiful clothes, and the inside is rotten. No, let both be the same. And then he said, istihzar adziyah, always keep in mind the rewards of deeds. Maulana Zahurul Hasan, who was the muhtamim of the madrasa in Tana Bhawan, he stayed there with Hazrat Tanvi, such a senior person. He even came to drink from the fountain of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab as time went on. And he came and he told us that this man, from back in the day and now as well, after so many long years, he's just speaking about ikhlas and ikhlas and ikhlas over and over and again. As Ali Amoz ikhlas amal, learn from Ali ikhlas and sincerity in your deeds. You know, we understand the famous incident that Ali radiallahu ta'ala was in jihad, and he floored his opponent, and He was about to do away with him, was on his chest, and when this person then spat in his face, at that time he became enraged even more. But then he stands up and he leaves. This kafir had the opportunity of then killing him, but he was so affected by this that he says, but what is this? What are you doing? How come now you're supposed to even mutilate me? I mean, well, what is this? And he says that I learned this from my mentor. And then it was this type of ta'aleem. He then takes it. He's so affected. He says, yes, take me to him. He goes there. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there. He accepts Islam, and with 14 other individuals, they all become worthy of becoming Jannatis. So Ali radiallahu ta'ala an used the sword of tolerance and not the iron sword. If he used the iron and the steel sharp sword, he would have taken all those people to Jahannam. Rather, he used the sword of tolerance, due to which he took that person and his family people to Jannah. So this was akhlaq that they presented, that even the dushmanana accepted Islam. Shunidam ke mardane rahe khuda. I've learned and heard about the great men of this path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dile dushmanana na kardand tang, na tang kardand, that they did not even hurt the hearts of the dushman. Turekei muyassar I maqam. How will you ever reach this high stages? Ke badostanat khilafast wa jang, that you are fighting with your own people, leave alone enemy. With your own people you are at war and loggerheads. Hazrat Maulana Mohammad Saheb used to say, quote the incident of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that a person came, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam entertained him, fed him, etc. And then afterwards Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam left for a while. This person then made istinja and messed the place there, and he went away. And when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam came back, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam started washing and cleaning himself. The Sahaba ran and came, "Oh Nabi of Allah, what are you doing? Let us do it." Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam refused, saying that this is my mehman and my guest. Listen, if you're persisting, you can throw the water, but I'll clean the mess. Allahu Akbar. This was the akhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in this path, there's no delicateness. There is no delicacy, there's no nazakat here. Khune dil peene ko, lakhte jigar khane ko, yahi ghiza milti hai jana teri diwane ko. That listen, you will have to go under difficulty here. Unfavorable and unsavory conditions may come. You would have to swallow a bitter pill. But this is this path. Maine apna naam o nishan mita beta. Shohra mera uraya kisne. Listen, I humbled myself, I hid myself, I erased all my traces. I wonder who has made me so popular. Allahu Akbar. I went to Bangladesh on one occasion, and a youngster was called to recite Quran before my Majlis. He recited, people were so deeply affected, and then I then said to them that Maulana Abul Kalam Azad said that such instruments have been created and brought, that a person, his voice can reach the four corners of the world. However, nothing has been created that something can reach the heart of a person. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib used to make kalam on that, and he says, most definitely it has been created, that something can reach the heart of a person, and that is when a person has light and nur, his heart is illuminated, then most definitely he will touch the hearts of thousands. Al-Madina, Al-Munawwara, bi anwari Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Medina was Munawwara, illuminated with the nur of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Can we say Bombay has got so much of lights and it is so illuminated? Never, not for a moment. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam's matter is layluha kanahariha, its night is as bright as the day. However, if you reject it from the start, you don't want it, then how will it ever reach you? So this deen is so bright. and the noor of this deen. Rahmatul lil Alameen is a fantastic kitab. Hazrat Maulana Ali Mia Sahib, in his youth, he so much wanted that kitab, it must have costed a few rupees or something. He said to his mother, he did not even have that amount of money at that time. The ghurbat and the faqa and the difficult conditions that our mashayikh went through, it is unimaginable. He said to his mother, Amma, I would like to have this kitab. The mother said, oh my son, where do I even get that money to get that kitab? Nevertheless, I am saying, this Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has passed away, but his nubuwwat, his ta'aleem will remain forever. Even the Mahdi, even Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, when they come, they will follow the deen of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, back in our diyar and at our place, people give tuition to their children. This tuition, that tuition, the other tuition, but no one will give tuition for salat. Nobody is prepared to go and learn salat. Nobody is prepared to go and learn Quran. Here, when I look at this gathering, there's not one person who is barehead. All of them are sitting with adab, and ba adab, ba nasib, be adab, be nasib. That if you come with respect and culture, you have adab and etiquette, then you will achieve a great treasure. And if you have no adab and respect, you'll achieve nothing. Hazrat Maulana Tanvi went with adab. Hazrat Maulana Qasim Sahib, he said, I went with adab. He said, people accepted Hazrat Haji Sahib for his spirituality. I accepted him for his knowledge when he was Hujjatul Islam. Allahu Akbar. Hazrat Gangohi, he went with adab. Maulana, Hazrat addresses an alim there in the gathering. You gave me a kitab, the asal kitab of it, the Arabic. I found 2 o'clock in the morning in the marketplaces of Makkah Mukarramah. Hazrat Tanvi was told by Hazrat Haji Sahib that Ashraf Ali, translate this kitab, it will be of great benefit to the people. So the ulama also must create capacity within their students. Hazrat Haji Sahib understood that Hazrat Tanvi had that capacity, that he would be able to translate this kitab. Hazrat Maulana Habibur Rahman sent, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib sent a message to Hazrat Maulana Habibur Rahman that Maulana, create other individuals as well before you go. Meaning you are muhaddith, but create other personality, create students, get them ready so this work can carry on. So kitab and sunnat, we need to become the khadims of kitab and sunnat. And this aspect about achievement of the noor, we should also keep that in mind all the time. You know, there's an interesting incident of Allama Dehlan and Sheikh Madyan. So Allama Dehlan used to always make nakir, and he used to always tell the murids of Sheikh Madyan that how's your sheikh? How's your sheikh? And he was saying it not in a good way, rather in a critical manner. Nevertheless, these murids brought this message to their sheikh. Nevertheless, he said to his murids, listen, the next time he says that, you must tell him, our Hazrat is alright, and he's saying that when you pass by, he's saying that you must join him for a meal. And he thought to himself that he is a muhaddith, and he knows, he has so much of knowledge, he'll never ever say this here, and he will never ever deny the invitation of an invitation. Nevertheless, they say this to him, and he comes. But the Sheikh Madyan told his students and his murids, listen, when he comes, nobody looks at him. All of you don't look at him at that time. Nevertheless, he came, he entered, but at that time there, people just ignored him. Nobody looked at him. And he waited, and he waited, and he waited, until such a type of an anger overwhelmed him that we can say that his body was about to burst in flames. Allahu Akbar. When this happened, the Sheikh then asked him that, tell me, I just Sawalun Hadara. There is a question that has come about. So he says, not a problem, go ahead, ask. He says, what is the condition of that person who wants to be respected like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So he said, that person is a mushrik. That person is a mushrik. So he says, listen, just tell me, I got a question for you. When you came in and nobody turned their attention to you, wasn't that against the grain? And wasn't that you were trying at that time to have such honor like the honor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Now look at that moment. The moment was marvelous and the call was there. So Hazrat Sheikh Zakaria has also quoted this incident, and Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to also quote this incident to us. Rather, he used to go even further. His andaz was different. He said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could not tolerate this, that the man had the daulat of nubuwwat in his heart, but he did not have the nisbat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He had the knowledge, but that nisbat he did not have. So Allah Ta'ala made the arrangements of that. But listen, at that time, he made tawbah. He fell at the feet of the Shaykh. He made tawbah and he stayed with the Shaykh until he achieved that same nisbat as well. So Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has blessed us with this deen. Allah blessed us with His ma'rifat. Man arafa nafsahu, arafa rabbahu. The person who recognizes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with ilm, he'll recognize himself with ignorance. He recognizes Allah with strength. He recognizes himself with weakness. So these jalsas are here. Allah Ta'ala make it kamyab. Kamyabi to kaam se hogi. Zikr कामयाबी तो काम से होगी, जिक्र के इल्तिज़ाम से होगी, फिक्र के ihtimam से होगी. कामयाबी, success will come by doing something, by being particular what your azkar and zikr and having fikr for your islah. Kamyabi, this is what you are doing here. You're making ishaat of ilm. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to say that all of these madaris must be khanqahs as well. Hazrat Shaykh al-Hadith wrote to everyone that about the importance of dhikr and making dhikr part and parcel of their madaris. وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. The Sahaba, in their moments of solitude, they used to carry out tasbihat in their khalawat. Allahu Akbar. وَمُحَبَّةُ اللَّهِ عَلَى قِسْمَيْنِ. The love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be put into two categories. وَكَذَلِكَ مُحَبَّةُ الرَّسُولِ صلى الله عليه وسلم. So this type of ta'aleem and the rabt between the people and the ulama is very important. This type of ta'aleem is not only here, but it's for everywhere, even for the marketplace. Umar radiallahu ta'ala went into the marketplace one day and he seen a person and he asked him, listen, do you know the rules and regulation of trade and commerce? He answered in the negative. Umar radiallahu ta'ala scolded him. He sent him to the masjid. He said, go and learn first and then come and do trade. Allahu Akbar. Now, let us make dua. Allahumma alif بين قلوبنا وأصلح ذات بيننا واهدنا سبل السلام ونجنا من الظلمات إلى النور وجنبنا الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن وبارك لنا في أسماعنا وأبصارنا وقلوبنا وأزواجنا وذرياتنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. Allah Ta'ala make us ashik and lovers of His deen. Allah Ta'ala bless us with Allahumma inna nas'aluka rizqan tayyiba wa ilman nafi'a wa amalan mutaqabbala. Let us put our children on this path as well. You know, Allah Ta'ala says, Ku anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. Allah Ta'ala bless us with every type of afiyat. Allah Ta'ala bless us with husn khulq and husn suluk as well. And Allah Ta'ala rectify our character. This year is for men and for the woman. This is for the villages and the city dwellers as well, for one and all. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.